Good day! For today's video, we're going to discuss Arts 10 Quarter 1 Module 2 Characteristics of Arts from the Various Art Movements. Expressionism. Objectives. At the end of the lesson, the student should be able to 1. Define Expressionism. 2. Give and explain Expressionist style of arts and the artists of the style. 3. Applied technique of Expressionist style by making an artwork. And number 4. Appreciate the contribution of the renowned Expressionists to the evolution of arts. What is Expressionism? It is a modernist movement initially in poetry and painting, originating in Germany at the beginning of the 20th century. Its typical trait is to present the world solely from a subjective perspective, distorting it radically for emotional effect in order to evoke moods of ideas. Characteristics of Expressionist painting. Presence of jagged, distorted lines. Rough, rapid brushwork. Jarring colors to depict urban street scenes. Contemporary subjects in crowded. Agitated compositions notable for instability. Emotionally charged atmosphere. Express frustration, anxiety, disgust, discontent, violence. Expressionism, different style. 1. Neo-primitivism. 2. Dadaism. 3. Fauvism. 4. Surrealism. 5. Social realism. Neo-primitivism. It was an art style popular between the years of 1908 and 1913 in Russia. It was influenced by primitivism and other European avant-garde art styles. Primitivism was a trend that influenced the art of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Many artists were embittered by the state of the modern world. They felt that industrialization and academic art practices had made the human spirit stagnant. In search of something more spontaneous and rawer, they turned to the art and artifacts of what was deemed primitive cultures, particularly those from Africa and Oceania. These would include rock paintings, stone or wooden idols, and above all, tribal masks. This art style of combined elements from the native arts of South Sea Islanders and the wood carvings of African tribes adopted by AMEDEO Modigliani. AMEDEO Modigliani, 1884 to 1920. He was an Italian painter and sculptor who worked mainly in France. He is known for portraits and nudes in a modern style, characterized by a surreal elongated faces, necks, and figures that were not received well during his lifetime, but later became much sought after. From 1909 to 1914, he devoted himself mainly to sculpture. His main subject was portraits and full figures, both in the images and in sculptures. Modigliani had little success while alive, but after his death, achieved great popularity. Famous works of AMEDEO Modigliani: Woman's Head, 1912, Alice, 1919, Portrait of Lunia Tchaikovsky, 1919. Fauvism. It is the style of Les Fauves, French for wild beasts, a group of early 20th century modern artists whose works emphasize with strong colors and visual distortions. The most known artist of Fauvism was Henri Matisse. Henri Matisse, 1869 to 1954. He was a French visual artist known for both his use of color and his fluid and original draughtsmanship. He was a draftsman, printmaker, and sculptor, but is known primarily as a painter. He developed a rigorous style that emphasized flattened forms and decorative pattern. His mastery of the expressive language of color and drawing, displayed in a body of work spanning over half a century, won him recognition as a leading figure in modern art. Famous works of Henri Matisse: Woman with a Hat, 1905, Le Bon de Viva, 1906, Goldfish, 1911. Dadaism. It is a style characterized by imagination, remembered images, and visual tricks and surprises, as in the paintings of Marc Chagall and Giorgio de Chirico. The artists turned their backs from using traditional styles in arts, leading to their new style called non-style. The art, poetry, and performance produced by Dada artists are often satirical and nonsensical in nature. Marc Chagall, 1887 to 1985, an early modernist, he was associated with several major artistic styles and created works in a wide range of artistic formats, including painting, drawings, book illustrations, stained glass, stage sets, ceramics, tapestries, and fine art prints. He experienced Modernism's golden age in Paris, where he synthesized the art forms of Cubism, Symbolism, and Fauvism, and the influence of Fauvism gave rise to Surrealism. Famous works of Marc Chagall: I and the Village, 1911, White Crucifixion, 1938, Paris Through the Window, 1913. He was an Italian artist and writer born in Greece. In the years before World War I, he founded the Scuola Metafisica art movement, which profoundly influenced the Surrealists. He became a critic of modern art, studied traditional painting techniques, and worked in a neo-classical or neo-baroque style, which frequently revisiting the metaphysical themes of his earlier work. Famous works of Giorgio de Chirico: Ariane, 1913, The Song of Love, 1914, Mystery and Melancholy of a Street, 1914. Surrealism. It came from the term superrealism, a style that depicts an illogical, subconscious dream world. It is a clear expression of departure from reality, as if the artists were dreaming, seeing illusions, or experiencing a change in mental state. Many surrealist works appeared morbid or gloomy subjects, as in those by Salvador Dali. Others were quite playful and even humorous, such as those by Paul Klee and JOAN MIRO. Salvador Dali, 1904 to 1989, influenced by Impressionism and the Renaissance masters. From a young age, he became increasingly attracted to Cubism and avant-garde movements. He moved closer to Surrealism in the late 1920s and joined the Surrealist group in 1929, soon becoming one of its leading exponents. Dali's artistic repertoire included painting, graphic arts, film, sculpture, design, and photography, at times in collaboration with other artists. Major themes in his work include dreams, the subconscious, sexuality, religion, science, and his closest personal relationships. Famous works of Salvador Dali: The Persistence of Memory, 1931, Metamorphosis of Narcissus, The Temptation of Saint Anthony, 1946. Paul Klee, 1879 to 1940. He was a Swiss-born German artist. His highly individual style was influenced by movements in art that included Expressionism, Cubism, and Surrealism. Klee was a natural draftsman who experimented with and eventually deeply explored color theory, writing about it extensively. He and his colleague, Russian painter Wassily Kandinsky, both taught at the Bauhaus School of Art, Design, and Architecture in Germany. His works reflect his dry humor and his sometimes childlike perspective, his personal moods and beliefs, and his musicality. Famous works of Paul Klee: Castle and Son, 1928; Sinasio, 1922; Cat and Bird, 1928; Joan Miro, 1893 to 1983. He was a Catalan painter, sculptor, and ceramicist, born in Barcelona. A museum dedicated to his work, the Fundació Joan Miró, was established in his native city of Barcelona in 1975, and another, the Fundació Pilar y Joan Miró, was established in his adoptive city of Palma in 1981. Earning international acclaim, his work has been interpreted as surrealism, but with a personal style, sometimes also veering into fauvism and expressionism. He was notable for his interest in the unconscious or the subconscious mind, reflected in his recreation of the childlike. Famous works of Joan Miró: The Farm, 1922; Harlequin's Carnival, 1925; Dog Barking at the Moon, 1926. Social realism. It is an art movement that expresses the artist's role in social reform. The artists use their works to show protests against the injustices, inequalities, morality, and other concerns of the human condition. Social realists have addressed different social issues for the purpose of increasing people's awareness, leading to reforms and general welfare, as in the paintings of Ben Shahn and Pablo Picasso. Ben Shahn, 1898 to 1969. He was an American artist. He is best known for his works of social realism, his left-wing political views, and his series of lectures published as The Shape of the Content. Shahn began his path to becoming an artist in New York, where he was first trained as a lithographer. Shahn's early experiences with lithography and graphic design is apparent in his later prints and paintings, which often include the combination of text and image. Shahn's primary medium was egg tempera, popular among social realists. Famous works of Ben Shahn: The Passion of Sacco and Vanzetti, 1931; Four-Piece Orchestra, 1944; Miner's Wife, 1948. Pablo Ruiz Picasso, 1881 to 1973. He was a Spanish painter, sculptor, printmaker, ceramicist, and theater designer who spent most of his adult life in France. Regarded as one of the most influential artists of the 20th century, he is known for co-founding the Cubist movement, the invention of constructed sculpture. One of his famous works is the anti-war painting Guernica, 1937, a dramatic portrayal of the bombing of Guernica by Germany and Italian air forces during the Spanish Civil War. This social realism artwork of Pablo Picasso leads to Abstractionism art movement. Famous works of Pablo Picasso: La Vie, 1903; Guernica, 1937; The Old Guitarist, 1903. Painting techniques developed by the Impressionists. 1. Action painting takes advantage of quick, spontaneous, emotional movements when applying paint to the canvas. 2. Color-filled painting creates distinct areas of color on the canvas. The color appears to blend into canvas, with color itself being the subject. 3. Hard-edge painting is a technique that uses abstract geometric shapes with strongly defined borders. Expressionist techniques in sculpture. Expressionist techniques in sculpture revolve around exaggeration. Sculptors would emphasize various prominent features of the subject rather than sculpting the full physical form, making expressionist sculptures more representational than realistic. The sculptor will distort and elongate her works, creating distorted forms. Expressionist sculpture is meant to reflect the emotional and mental state of the subjects. For further understanding about the topic, let's have activity number 1, My Masterpiece. Directions. Create your own artwork integrating the characteristics of Expressionism art movement. Use a short bond paper. Put the title of your work. Your output will be assessed based on the rubric. This is our rubric for activity number 1. I hope you learned a lot from our lesson for today. Thank you for listening.